the Valley Presbyterian Church on this beautiful yet pretty still warm time in September. Today we continue on with the Old Testament. I warned you at the Hymn Fest, which was kind of like a Vesper service, or the end of summer, that now we go back to school. And the hard stuff, the Old Testament preacher, and probably going to have maybe even 2 or 3 Sundays about it, depending on what you critique me on today. We've talked a little already about the Garden of Eden, which I believe really existed, probably an isthmus off the Mediterranean coast, and Adam and Eve and all of that, and evolution, the great stone book. I'm an amateur geologist, so I love the Southwest, taking a look at the great stone book and all that has transformed our wonderful little planet here. But today we move on into the story of Noah, which is basically saying the world in revolt against God, or a country in revolt against God, isn't going to last. It's going to go down. And so that's what happened in this magnificent idea and story and truth all put together in the Old Testament on Noah. I often think of many things, and Christ talks about it in the book of Matthew. He said, in the days of Noah, they were partying and drinking and paying no attention. You can read about that in Matthew. And so the name of the sermon, and then the rains came. I think of Winston Churchill when Neville Chamberlain came back and said, we have peace in our time. A compact with Hitler. Well, it wasn't only a few weeks later the bombs started to fall on England, and Churchill said, counsels of prudence at times bring nothing but disaster. Or Franklin Delano Roosevelt, in the middle of our World War II, quoted Longfellow, sail on, ship of state. Humanity and all its future sails with you. So there has been dark times in our world too, when the rains have come and came and poured and poured and poured. And so the Lord says to Noah, I want you to build an ark. Now notice he gives the dimensions. Unless you build with divine specifications, you're going to fail. It's divine specifications when you're building arks that things happen. I wore this shirt today because it's kind of patriotic things I'm going to say. Let me give you some divine specifications, even though the quote is not quite correct. We believe that all people and all men are endowed by the Creator. By who? By the Creator, with certain unalienable rights. The right, we all know, to liberty and pursuit of happiness, all that. From our Declaration of Independence, or another portion. We, the people, are allowed to form a more perfect union. Those are divine specifications. That's what builds things up. Not Das Kapital or Mein Kampf by Hitler. See, these stories are not just way back to nowhere and antiquity and mean nothing. They're divine, and they're as vivid as today and tomorrow and all things. Out of this Old Testament is your geopolitical situation today, is the geography of our nations. Well, if we get far enough into the 12 tribes of Israel, it's as today and tomorrow, it's as relevant as can be. So there we are. So things get started, and notice the marine life isn't gone, though. It's just all the other life. When I think of the ark, I think of that famous poem, all things bright and beautiful, big and small, the good Lord created them all. So loads all the family, all sorts of different things into that boat together, and sails into the waters and doesn't know how long it's going to be. You all are doing that right now. The ark, the church is an ark. They got all sorts of different people jammed in there, all sorts of different species that scream and fight and make noises and all that kind of stuff, just like a normal ark would be. It's a miracle they can hold together, except for the fact that it's a tempest and storm out there that you've got to take care of and you've got to hug together. Because look at all the things you're doing, shoebox ministry, Salvation Army, your fellowship, your prayer times. That's what a church is about, bringing the love of God together. And your search committee is also doing many things. They're in a search as well. They're in an arc. When is it going to end? Only God knows in terms of when things will come and blow back and forth. So we got to pray for your little committee that's looking for some leadership and a pastor in the church. And it's not that easy to do that. First of all, anybody that would even search on a church search committee has got to be a little dim to begin with. And for Pete's sake, don't be hassling them and waking them up too much. Gosh, you might get put in the place. And then you got to find somebody that wants to come to Nevada. Nevada, Wild Willie, that's all you pretty much get. Half of them are in jail that contact your church committee to begin with. Come and do a little community service on probation or have a ring around there. Gosh, so they're down to probably a sliver of 10% that might even work, not to mention the summer heat as well. So we got to pray for that committee and pray for them because you see, they're on the waters too in their little canoe. And so we got to keep them going. And who knows when they'll come to dock? Who knows when the ark will come to dock? So keep them all in thoughts and prayers. I would have loved, and they're all. If you read the August newsletter, it's quite correct. The search committee did come to me and say, "Would you want to be considered to be a pastor here?" And wouldn't I have loved it? But it's quite clear I cannot. The article states it quite well because of things beyond my control. As you know, I'm taking care of my wife, who has Alzheimer's and a few other things as well. As a matter of fact, just recently, the family made a decision that we will not, unless I pass away, seek a memory care unit. I'm being personal now. We will not. That it's going to happen the same way we did with my wife's mother, the same way we did with my father and my younger son, and he and his lady friend have made a commitment. They're going to stay with us and live with us because he lives for free. So right now he's... You know what he went with all the money that I pull out each month that he saves? He went out and he bought a Lotus, an English sports car called a Lotus. 140 grand, and I'm driving a Hyundai. I mean, God help us. So keep that search committee in prayer because they don't just fall off the trees to want to come to Nevada. Look at me. Look what you get that comes to Nevada. Woo, if you knew my background. God almighty. So actually, we do want to bring my wife up here. We're going to try, and my son and I, Eric, we're trying to work it out and come up here. We'll probably all those people are telling me the Rising Star is a neat place. I want to check it out. But we've played it. We stayed at the Casablanca once, and it was pretty nice. And it'll give me a chance, Saturday night. It might be a poker game I can get into with some of those tight-pocketed Lutherans over there across that gully there. I'll sandbag them. They won't know what's going on.
We'll be praying.
You'll be praying. I can see that Lutheran pastor with the collection plate the next morning. He said, "Boy, that's awfully light." But yours won't be. I can tell you. Oh, boy. So we'll come and hopefully we'll have some fun and see what happens. And now I'm on that subject about money. Because it looks like that sometimes there's difficulties getting pastors up here. And I'm the one that likes it because, I get kicked around and yelled at home a lot. So if I can get out for a day and come up and kick you around, I'm working a lot better doing it that way. So I can come up here and squawk. In the Presbyterian Church, you're going to get a stewardship sermon one Sunday. Now, you don't think I'm dumb enough to tell you what Sunday's that going to be, or I'd just be talking to myself. I'll probably have an innocuous title like, when you walk in so you won't know, like Love in Mesquite or something. That might be a pretty good topic now that I think. Woo, the church I was in my last, I could tell you some stories. We had 2 sisters and their husbands. Woo, could I tell that story? But there's also this Loving in Mesquite. That's what I think I might call it. I'll put Milt at the back door so when you do know what it's about, you can't get out, although he might run out. I know what I'll do. I'll get a couple Lutherans to go at the back door. They got it in for you. They won't let you out. So you're going to get that down the road as well because you got a wonderful little ark here. I mean, it's, you got all sorts of different animals bottled up here and all sorts of things that happen. But again, it's a storm raging outside, and part of God's plan is you got to stick together, all creatures, big and small, bright and beautiful. And then, so let's take a look at what starts to happen. Because the flood's there, and Noah's saying, oh my God, what's going to happen now? So we take a look in chapter 8 in Genesis. But God remembered Noah and all the wild animals and all the domestic animals that were with him in the ark. And God made the wind blow over the earth, and the waters subsided. The fountains of the deep and the windows of the heaven were closed, and the rain from heavens was restrained. And the waters gradually receding from the earth. And at the end of 150 days, the waters had abated. And on the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, the ark came to rest on the mountain of Arad. The waters continued to abate till the 10th month, and the 10th month. At the end of 40 days, and when you ever see the number 40 in the Bible, that always means a long time. And when they talk about mountains, that means something really spiritual and high and deep, like the Mount of Transfiguration is going on. Something completely new. At the end of 40 days, Noah opened the window of the ark that he had made and sent out a raven, and it went to and fro till the waters were dried up from the earth. And then he sent out the dove to see if the waters had subsided from the face of the ground. But the dove found no place to set its foot, and it returned to him in the ark, for the waters were still on the face of the whole earth. So he and this is a beautiful little sentence now. So he put out his hand and took it and brought it into the ark with him. Isn't that a pretty still view? He waited another 7 days and sent out the dove from the ark. And the dove came back to him in the evening, and there in its beak was a freshly plucked olive leaf. So Noah knew that the water had subsided from the earth. And he waited another 7 days and sent out the dove. It had not returned to him anymore. He knew that the dove had gone. Well, first of all, when they start talking about doves, that means the Holy Spirit as well. The Holy Spirit is descending into this humanity gathered together. And the dove is descending. The Spirit of God is... We're going to start over, gang. We're going to try things new in a new way here. And all of a sudden, there's the beautiful dove as well. And so he gets excited, and the doors open, and things start to go. Well, and then what he's got to do is the first thing is the dove. What does olive branch mean to you? Olive branch means victory. It means hope. It means maybe somebody who's been in prison is coming out and is changing their life. It's a new hope, a new way. Olive branch in the winner in the Olympics used to be given a laurel or a golden leaf or an olive branch. Something triumphant. Some politician's been waiting to hear what I'm saying. This needs to be done. And finally, others agree with them, and things happen. A mother or a father was waiting for a child to turn around, and finally they turn around. The olive branch, there's something new. The dove has come back with the olive branch in their mind. Look for those things in your lives if you can. In many of the slums back in New York, they had what they called happiness clubs. And each child had to come whenever they met and give one thing that they saw that made them happy and beautiful today, like maybe a sparrow cleaning itself in the water, the sunset, all of these things. Look always for the olive branch, the turn of somebody. You've done that specifically for one person here in the church. He's not here today. How it'll turn out, we don't know. But you've not responsible for that, but you've made the effort. These are the many things that your little ark, if you can stay glued together, can do. Can make things beautiful. All creatures, God. And then, so he had to till the ground. And tilling the ground is a hard thing to do. Farmers in the middle of winter, I've got to start sowing. Is it going to work out? Discipline. It took discipline. He had to discipline started again. He and his family had to start farming again. The ground is barren, the ground is hard. You plant a seed, but pretty soon the harvest comes in the spring. Proverbs, beautiful, beautiful book, says, be diligent in thy heart, For out of that all things of life flow. So many people want to do things fast. They're Sharpies. When I was in business or stealing sometimes with financial people and some of these young guys, boy, all they wanted to do was make $1 million in the beginning. All they wanted was the big, rich people. And I said, you're probably not going to get a lot of those people. You need to work, minnows turn into fish. Tadpoles turn into frogs. Work with anybody and give them help, and you'd be surprised when you cast your bread on the water, it might come back. Long-term selfishness, not the kill. I mean, gosh, I was so thankful when I got out of college, in terms of, I was finally out of the rat race there. Well, when I finally got out of college, all I really did was just run into faster rats, the rest of the world. But I still tried to keep my faith and work with people as well. But I even seen in the church sometimes, I've seen some pastors that are so money-oriented and so social-oriented that if a person comes in at perhaps not the same level or stature, they'd ignore them. They don't even know. Grieves me when I see that some servant of the Christ is like that. Try to treat all the same, if you will. So there may be somebody in some ministry of a church somewhere along the line that has failed you and had that arrogant attitude, and just try to forgive the church if you can. Arrogance. So, discipline, and things got started. But then, after all that's done, things are finally docked. What does Noah do? Well, when you read it careful, Noah was a drinking man, so he says, I'm going to celebrate God, and that's it. So he got good and tight, and he starts dancing and singing. You know what? He probably deserved it. I mean, sitting in that boat with those stinking out all that time probably worked out as well. As a matter of fact, but we really can't do it in here. But, Linda, someday what we're going to do is have you with a pitcher like some water, and I'll have a rainbow, and I'll do the old, Singing in the Rain with Gene Kelly. I'll try to do that, because that's what Noah was doing. He basically got drunk and started dancing in the rain as well. Funny things that he does. If you read what's called the Apocrypha, which your books are not canonized, he has an argument with God about taking whiskey on the ark. He says, it's going to be tough, God. I'm taking 2 barrels of whiskey. And God says, you're not taking any. He says, I got to take 2 barrels because it'll help balance the boat, one side on each side. So God says, okay, you can take 1 barrel and put it in the middle. You can read about that in the Apocrypha. These are all sort of beautiful things as well. So, I see my good buddy from Kirkwood. We're going to talk. Some of the jokes you've given me, I got to get your permission before I do it. Another time you're here, we're going to have some fun, you and I. Okay, if it works out. I don't hit anybody without going to him first. He and I are Goombas back from the same neighborhood in St. Louis. Well, that's it. Hopefully I haven't caused too much trouble. Hopefully I've made my points specifically. But now I am going to cause trouble. I'm going to give not the search committee, but the board trouble. But I'm going to say it, and because I'm just a visiting Sam back and forth. One of the other reasons I wore this church, and I guess you've all talked about it and probably decided against it, but I've never served in a church that didn't have an American flag. So there it is for what it's worth. You got it over there! How can you see it? Yeah, okay, you got it in, yeah. I guess probably it wouldn't work over here. Okay, I apologize. So with that, may God's, you need to have okay. May the good Lord keep you both and keep you safe, because let's sing now. All right, kids, bye-bye. I'm always used to seeing them up front.